Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
This is a CBS News special report. I'm Norah O'Donnell in Washington. We are coming on the air with news about former President Donald Trump, as a jury in New York has found that Trump sexually abused and defamed E. Jean Carroll and awarded her $5 million in damages. This was a civil case there that went on for the past 2 weeks. It was a quick verdict. They just started deliberating this morning. The jury also finding that Trump did not rape Carroll, but that he is liable for battery and for defamation. Want to bring in Elaine Quijano, who is there and has been covering this trial. Elaine?
Well, Nora, it took this jury of 6 men and 3 women less than 3 hours to reach its decision against the former president of the United States, finding him liable, as you said, for sexual abuse and defamation. Now, E. Jean Carroll, the writer, had alleged that Donald Trump had raped her in a New York City department store dressing room in 1996. That is a claim that Donald Trump repeatedly denied. During the trial, Carroll had said that she was too shaken at the time to report that to police, something that Trump's defense attorney, Joe Tacopina, had questioned. That attorney also had pressed Carroll on why she could not remember the exact date of the alleged assault and suggested that she only came forward in order to sell more copies of her autobiography. Now, for his part, the former president had been given the opportunity to testify during this trial here, and even suggested as recently as last week that he would cut his trip overseas short in order to do that. His attorney saying in closing arguments, though, after the former president declined to appear, his former attorney said he has no story to tell other than denying her claim. But Nora, as you said, a surprisingly quick decision by this jury. I can tell you that the instructions to the jury this morning from the judge were quite lengthy. It was 10 questions on this verdict form that the jury had to consider. Clearly, unanimity seemed to be something that was with this group from the start, given just how quickly this decision came.
Want to bring in our chief Washington correspondent, Major Garrett. And Major, Donald Trump is running for president again. What is the political effect of this?
So not only is Donald Trump running for the Republican nomination, he's the front runner. He's right now the undisputed front runner. And by all polling data measured recently, a very, very strong likely Republican nominee. The political effect of this will come out over time, but this trial was in fact a character sketch of the former president. And his attorney said, you could say that former President Trump is rude and crude, but he didn't do these specific things. Also arguing, by implication, these would be out of character for the former president. The jury did not agree with that. The jury said, as a matter of fact, based on all the things presented to us, this is precisely the character. Now, those on the political side of former President Trump would say, you know what? That was adjudicated in the 2016 election. The country looked at this character sketch and said, you know what? It's okay. We'll elect him president. That character sketch now comes back with very real procedures in a legal courtroom and an assignment of a fine against former President Trump. So that character question now is raised in a very different context. And there's been a proceeding, an adversarial one, where Donald Trump had every opportunity to defend himself in person, looking at across that courtroom at E. Jean Carroll. He did not do that. His attorneys did not want him to do that. So the character sketch that emerges from this civil proceeding will have real political impact.
Are you ready?
Hey everybody, it's Jeff. So, quite a day here for today. Donald Trump was found liable for sexual abuse in the battery case of E. Jean Carroll. Most people don't seem surprised that he was found liable. And he's already out there spewing a ton of garbage to try to say, oh, the whole thing was rigged against him, and there's there's already accusations that he tried tampering with witnesses in this case, and so I don't know what's going to happen with that. But now he can wear the label of rapist wherever he goes, because that's what he is. Now, look, this is a guy. I mean, when they put this case on TV, or not on TV, but when they put this case up to be heard, they brought in a lot of fucking evidence, video evidence of him saying certain things, okay? Things that he can't backpedal. These things, for the most part, that they said were the reasons why he was found liable, because the jury was convinced, okay? That's what they, that's what pretty much what they said, is what the things that they saw were undeniable. I mean, there's no way you could say that he didn't do what he did, okay? His attitude about women stinks. And a guy that does that or talks like that about women and stuff, obviously it's not beyond his capability of, assaulting them in some way if he wants something, okay? So people who've been talking about Donald Trump all last week in this case, they've been analyzing him 8 ways from Sunday, and they come up with all kinds of ways why that the jury would find him guilty. So when they they brought this all up, and even the reporters on TV brought up clips of rallies that he went to and speeches he gave. They brought all this stuff forward. Now, the jury probably had the same material, but they were bringing this forward to the public just to show why he's going to be found guilty. And it was pretty damning evidence just for us to see. Now, any jury that's going to look at that and see the same thing, how can they not think that he didn't do it? Especially when you got Jean Carroll up on the stand and the people backing her up. It was, come on. So it's no surprise. But then there's people out there that are saying, well, it was only a $5 million loss for him, and it doesn't mean a damn thing. Oh, really? So in other words, if they found him liable and it was a $10 million loss, it would have made more sense to you that, yeah, he is a rapist? Or is it just because $5 million is a drop in your little bucket that you seem to have? I'm sure a lot of these people don't sit on $5 million of money in their bank accounts, okay? But they're the ones out there making excuses here, apologists for Trump, saying that that case meant nothing because it was only a $5 million loss for him, and there was no evidence, really. You have to be pretty, deliberately blind, okay, and completely spun to think that. All right, I have no words for you to save you from where you're at. Okay, you're sinking in your own boat, and I ain't gonna help you if that's how you feel. He's a rapist, and he's gonna live with that label on him no matter where he goes now. So everybody that if you're thinking about voting for this man for president again, you're a fucking rapist. Okay, you support rapists in this country. If you're going to vote for Trump, then you would just most likely go out and rape a woman yourself. You're a fucking criminal too. That's what I got to say to you about that. So Carrie Lake got on TV there, and she was being interviewed, and apparently she's really pissed at Fox News, so much so now that she's just basically cutting her ties to Fox. She called them a globalist network that's pushing a globalist agenda. Really? A globalist agenda? Really? When was the last time that Fox News even gave a shit about what happens in other countries? I mean, isn't that really what that station really has been made its bread and butter on? Is slamming American government, you know, attacking politicians, attacking its people, you know. I mean, how, you know, what globalists are we talking about here? I mean, if you're saying that this company was founded from by an Australian, okay, which it is, you know, who has an agenda to destroy our country through this network, then yeah, maybe that would be considered why she would call it a globalist network, because it's not even an American company for that matter. It was founded by an Australian, okay, who obviously has an axe to grind with America, that he would create a news program that's constantly attacking this nation's government, okay, and feeding the people who hate our government more and more of the same crap, you know, bread and circuses, as it were, okay, just to fuel up the mob. So, in this article here, it was the Monday. She had this yesterday on Piers Morgan Uncensored, which oddly airs on Fox News' streaming platform, Fox Nation. And Morgan referenced the Fox News poll from April, which showed that a vast majority of Americans are in favor of gun restrictions. Which, again, that's something else that is of no surprise to anyone. If people have been awake at all through this time, they have seen many gun mass killings in this country, more than we should be seeing. Okay, it's out of control, people, and I'm going to have some proof of that in the upcoming segment here to show you just how bad it is, where law enforcement is pretty much hanging it up as far as that goes. But I'll explain that in a minute here. It says that 87% of Americans back stricter background checks. Okay, 87%. Okay, that's a lot. That's including Republicans as well, and you can't get 87% if you don't have Republicans in that mix that are thinking the same thing. Okay, 81% agree the legal age to buy a gun should be raised to 21. Again, Republicans also in that mix. Okay, 80% agree that anyone who buys a gun should go through a mental health assessment. 80%. Again, Republicans also in that number. Okay, 77% want a 30-day waiting period for all gun purchases. Again, there's Republicans in that. You can't get more than 60% of approval without bringing in some Republicans to add to that number. Okay, that's just a given. So that right there is probably one of the reasons why Carrie Lake is having a fit, because of this Fox News poll, which really kind of throws a wet rag on her defense of the Second Amendment, at least as she understands it. Okay, throws a wet rag on her pro-gun stance. That she's finding out that there's the majority, a vast majority, not just a slim majority, but a vast majority of Americans want to see some fucking shit done about this, because they're sick and tired of hearing about this on the fucking news every night. Okay? Have had it up to here. People have had it up to here with this, okay? They really have. And what's her response to when she was told this poll in this interview? She says, quote, "That doesn't surprise me," unquote. Quote, "Fox News is a globalist network pushing a globalist agenda," unquote. Really? We're talking about the United States here, Carrie Lake. This is not about, England, Russia, Turkey. This is not a globalist issue. This is an American issue. We made this fucking problem. Just like in England, the coronation of the king over there is their issue, not ours. Okay, our problem is homegrown American crap. This is not a globalist agenda. Okay, people in America want to see an end to these gun crimes. If you want to step out your fucking door and get shot, you know, hey, go move to one of these, go move to Ukraine or something. You're bound to get shot over there, you know. But, you know, leave us free to be able to have, you know, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, okay? We want that. Then Morgan pushed back on her claim, and, quote, he says, I don't think Fox News is a globalist network. It's the biggest conservative network in the country, unquote. And then, quote, this is how she fires back. They fired Tucker Carlson. They fired Tucker Carlson. Oh, so then that alone was enough to say, oh, they're a globalist network. You know, okay, so what, is she in bed with Tucker Carlson as well as Donald Trump? I mean, Jesus, this woman's partner legs for every damn Tom, whatever can get her votes and to go wherever she wants to go. Okay, what a bitch. Who cares about Tucker Carlson? Okay, who fucking cares? I mean, the people that watched him will find him online or some other damn network that'll hire his ass. And you know that's what's going to happen. And we haven't seen the last of Tucker Carlson, ladies and gentlemen. He's still out there. And as far as Carrie Lake goes, she'll find somebody else to bankroll her fucking career move, whatever the hell she wants to do. Okay? Because Donald Trump right now, he's got too many things, too many irons in the fire to contend with her. Because she's unhappy, all right. That's what happens when you hit your wagon to the wrong train. Okay, that's what happens. Okay, you end up getting burned, and that's what's happened to her. Okay, she lost in Arizona. She lost with her friends. She's lost with Fox News. Okay, she's a woman right now living in anger. She hates everybody now, going around spewing her hatred. Okay, doubling down on her bullshit. Okay, and it's not winning her any popularity points because, like I said, 87% of the country now don't side with her, don't agree with her anymore. Okay, I don't know how many ever did, but I'll tell you right now, when you got Republicans that are turning their back on the Second Amendment, or at least looking at it to say what can we change about it, you know, we're coming to a critical mass here, is what's happening. Okay, and the holdouts here at this point are the politicians and not the people. The people are there. They are ready to vote, okay? But the politicians are the ones that are out there on holding up the whole works, okay? And who says they have the right to stand against the majority? They're supposed to be there to represent the majority, not stand against it. Their ideas don't come first, don't come second, don't come third. It doesn't come at all. They're there to be the mouthpiece for us. Okay, what we tell them to say is what they have to say. That's what we pay them for, right? Or supposedly. We vote for them to go there so they can represent us. We don't have them go there with their own fucking agenda and do what they want. What's the point of voting for these people if all along they were going to do their own goddamn thing? Right? I mean, we all should get our fucking money back for the time and money we spent trying to get some of these bastards into the White House or into the Senate or the Congress or whoever, you know? This country deserves a massive refund, you know, because we've all been cheated out of our time and our effort and our money to get people we thought were going to represent us. They're up there representing themselves, okay? That's not what this country was meant to be run like, okay? I'm sorry, it's a democracy. Majority rules, okay? And when they can't get their way, what do? They cheat by redistricting areas so they can grab as many of their votes they want as they can. Especially these days where the Republican Party is shrinking. You know, you want to talk about something that's shrinking to the size of a peanut to flush down a toilet, it's the GOP. Their own goal is working against them because they're saying so many nasty, unpopular things that people are just, you know, running away from them as fast as they can. So I feel like, you know, that we still have people that are, to their dying breath, are never going to change their ways, okay? And even if they did tomorrow come out and say, oh, I was always wrong about, I still wouldn't believe them because it's always self-serving crap. They're only there for themselves and that's it. They don't care about what you think or anything like that. Okay, they don't care. And as far as, let me see here, as far as the shooter at the Texas Mall here, they have some more details that came out about him today. Apparently they found his social media posts, and he had some rants against women in there and minorities, as well as a whole bunch of photographs of the mall itself. Now, whether or not those photographs had any part of him using them as some sort of a layout or a plan, I don't know. Okay, but you know, there were a lot of, they didn't really go into much detail about that, about the photographs. This guy had joined the Army and failed basic training after 3 weeks, which in of itself is not an unusual thing. Okay, a lot of people join the military and they don't make it through basic training. Okay, that just happens. You know, that doesn't mean there's something wrong with the person. It just means they physically weren't able to pass it. Okay, I mean, when I was in basic in the Air Force, some people didn't make it through that either. So it's not anything to say, oh, there's something wrong with them, you're going past basic. You know, you don't realize how tough it can be when you try to go through basic. Plus, they found some pictures of him with a swastika on his upper chest, and on his arms he had on his shoulder a big Texas picture and some what looked like Nazi thunderbolts like on his arm. So I don't know how he could have got in the service, if you ask me, with that, because from what I understand, when I went in, and that's back in the 90s now, tattoos were frowned on. If you had, you know, tattoos or something like that, or too many of them, I think they'd have, you know, I don't know what they do to you, but or they'd ask you to do something. I don't know, but it's certainly a person that has a swastika. I don't know if he had that before he went tried to get into the Army, or after he got out. I don't know. If he got it after he got out, then maybe that self shows that he was losing his mind in some fashion, or whatever. You know, whether that was due to the being in the service, or just, you know, something inherent to what happened to him in his life or in his birth or something. I don't know. I don't really understand a lot of times where that comes from. Some people say that as a person grows up and they hit their teens and early 20s, that's usually when mental problems will spring up, you know. So I don't know. But the thing is that Garcia, the guy who did the shooting, says that he had posted that he'd been struggling with his mental problems. Okay, again, I don't know if that was something that he had before he went into the Army or after he come out of the Army. Okay, I don't know. A lot of times people will lie on their application if they have mental health problems. They won't say, because they know that that'll probably get them failed, you know, to be able to get in the service. If they've said, yes, I have a mental problem, or yes, I have this physical problem, they'll lie all the way down the list. Okay, and the recruiter will sit there and threaten, well, if we found out you lie, we're going to send the FBI after you. Okay, that's just bullshit. They won't do that. What they're trying to do is make sure that you're being honest, so that way things won't come out and it could make the military liable for whatever you didn't say you had. Now you have. Okay, and so that's the reason why they try to get people to be honest on their applications. So again, he says he struggled with the mental health issue. Then there's a picture of him wearing a mask, and he says, oh, it's not quite what you were expecting, huh? You know, I don't know what that was about, why he was wearing this scream mask. So, you know, they saw that was really some warning signs there. And apparently he had more than $3,000 of firearms that he had bought, and they got like a list here. He had a KR-103 and a Beretta and a Sig Sauer. Okay, so it had 2 pistols and an assault rifle, and he spent that money on that, is what he did. That might have been money he got from leaving the service, I don't know. Then he was wearing a tactical vest, obviously, so he spent money on that. And of course, Texas Governor Greg Abbott suggests the problem, really isn't about the gun. Okay, it's about mental health issues, is what it is. Well, that's funny, because I do remember, not that long ago, by the way, where Republicans were saying they wanted to defund a lot of different things, like Medicaid and Social Security, stuff like that. Well, lo and behold, some of those mental health programs get their money from these programs. And a lot of people who qualify for mental health therapy and stuff like that need that money to be able to afford to continue to get help. Now, if Republicans want to defund that, okay, and they say that that's the reason why we have gun crimes, well, guess what? In their crazy logic, we're going to have more gun crimes if you get rid of these people from the system. So the Republicans' plan on how to deal with this ever-growing problem in America is to defund everything, okay? Shrink the government down even more, okay? And really that's really not the answer. We all know that, okay? If your country is facing a war with another country, you don't defund the military in response to it, okay? You do something about it by, building up your military, right? I mean, that's what you do. You get it ready. But with Republicans, because they're so intent on protecting people's right to have a gun, they're going to go out on a limb and say the most ridiculous thing that you've ever heard. And unfortunately, a lot of people will buy that, just like they'll buy the biggest lie they have ever been told, like, oh, I got cheated out of an election. Okay, they'll believe that. Okay, they'll also believe that defunding the military, defunding the police department, defunding health services is also a way to solve problems in this country. Now, if you ask them to follow their plane of thinking all the way to the end, they'll avoid talking to you about it and run away. They won't bother to explain how defunding anything helps anything. Okay, it doesn't. And even though people in this country seem to have a penchant for saying we don't want to pay our taxes or something like that, again, ask them, what do you like for services around you, okay? And tell me, what things you pay in taxes for are you willing to get rid of? Okay? They can't tell you. They don't know. They've just been told that, oh, the government just spends your money like a fucking pile of drunken sailors. Well, so does the Republicans. But hey, we don't point fingers right at any political party, okay? But they don't actually sit down and make out a list of things your tax money pays for. Because if they did, and you ask them, well, which of these things you want to sacrifice so you don't have to pay taxes? They're not going to be able to answer that, okay? They can't. They certainly don't want to defund the military. All Republicans, that I've heard of, always want to put money into that. They won't tell you because they have no fucking idea what they're talking about. Taxes is just a word. They think it's a big, bad, negative word, but it's not. Okay, it's this country's bread and butter, for Christ's sake. If we cannot have a government without taxes, and the things that we ask our government to do, because we can't do things ourselves, we have to pay them to do it. Nobody works for nothing. Nobody works for free. Anybody that thinks that you can make a government that works for free, you're out of your goddamn mind, okay? People deserve to be paid for the work that they do, because we don't live in a country where everything is free. People got to have money. So these details coming out about the gunman, only go to add to the narrative that that the governor here obviously was planning on hitting the ground running, talking about oh, mental health is the reason why we have all these gun crimes. Yeah, okay, well, so why don't we just invest more in mental health, and then maybe that'll stop the gun crimes, right? No, instead they argue the opposite, exactly the opposite. Because again, they don't want to spend money on a goddamn thing. They would rather that people kill themselves every day out on the streets than lift a finger or spend a dime to do anything that could possibly reduce or even solve this problem. How many, freedom isn't free to them, okay? We have to pay for our freedom with our children's lives. Apparently that's what freedom costs in America, is the death of our children. I'll tell you, if there's any reason at all why people shouldn't have kids, this is the reason, okay? Honestly, do you really want to have a child and constantly be living in worry every time you send that child to school or just go to the store? They may not come back? Christ. All right, let's go to commercial break. We'll be back.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me!
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
If you prefer your chocolate rich and dark, try dark chocolate Bounty. Smooth, dark chocolate and tender, moist coconut. A delicious contrast. Bounty gives you the taste of paradise.
Dandruff. So one day my brother said, "Oh, will you stop complaining about your hair? Try some Head and Shoulders." And so I said, "Oh yes, Head and Shoulders." And he said, "Well, look, it's worked for me. Give it a go." So I washed my hair with it, and I was absolutely amazed at the result. It shone. It was in very good condition. The dandruff had gone.
Head and Shoulders clears dandruff ordinary dandruff shampoos leave behind. Use it all the time.
Please, miss, I want to run away.
Well, you've come to the right place. We can help you run away to thousands of places at Thomas Cook. When you've picked where to go, we make sure you get a really good price. Then Barbara will help if you need a visa or a car. And Derek knows all about traveller's checks and currency.
Hi.
Come on, we'll come back soon and then we can all run away with Thomas Cook.
Nobody knows more about holidays than Thomas Cook. Don't just book it, Thomas Cook it.
Christening, actually. The, Aspidistra. Cheers. Gerald.
Anniversary. 24. 24 hours.
Veuve du Vernet. Any excuse for a celebration.
Well, no, not my birthday exactly. It's the woman living next door to my aunt. It's her dog's birthday.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it. It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Sorry, I gotta take this.
We'll need a minute.
It's here with Sadie. Yeah, by the bar. That's fine.
Back up! You can't be here anymore! Get out of my face,
What,
man.
you think I'm afraid of you?
Man, get off!
911, there's a everything.
If you were caught in an active shooter event, what would you do? Know how to survive.
Okay, welcome back. Now, the video that you just saw is what was released by the FBI this week, and you can find this either on YouTube or you go to fbi.gov/survive, and you will find that video there. It's disturbing that this is how they want to deal with more gun crimes, because to me that sounds like a complete surrender to the problem. That the problem has gotten so large now that they know they don't have enough police or any law enforcement to be able to respond to these gun crimes in time to save lives. So now they're asking you, the American citizens, to prepare yourselves for the eventuality that you are going to be involved in some way with a gun crime that'll be taking place in a mall, a church, a store, a bar, a restaurant, anywhere, okay? That no matter where you go, you are at risk of being shot, and this is what you got to do. You know, when I was in the military, the things that they were telling you what to do in that situation are almost identical to what they would tell us, okay, in basic training and stuff, how to do these things, and we were trained to do that. You cannot expect every American to be physically and, you know, quickly, to be able to move quickly enough to be able to respond or be alert enough to be able to think clearly through a situation like that. A lot of people are going to freeze. They're going to be shocked, surprised. You know, what's that shock and awe crap there that Bush said? It's true, shock and awe. The people will come in there with guns blazing. A lot of people ain't going to hit the ground, hit the floor rather, and hide or do all these things that the FBI is asking you to do. That requires training in order to be able to get people able to do these things. And it's like what they used to tell women when you're out on the street, how to defend yourself against a rapist, okay? And then it comes to find out that, you know, when they tried to resist it, you know, it only increased their odds of being raped or being killed after they're raped. You know, that it didn't always guarantee they were going to make it, okay? And a lot of cops will tell you that, you know, fighting the rapist usually, you know, it'll end in your death, okay, because you're going to piss them off even more and they'll kill you, okay? Because, you know, if they are armed or something like that, or if they got a knife, you know what I'm saying? A lot of these places that had school shootings, the kids knew enough to hide and do all this stuff, and still they were dead children. So, you know, whether or not you follow the FBI's instruction, the odds are still the same, that if you're in that building and you're in the building with the shooter or shooters, okay, you can try and make a run for it, okay? You can try to do all these things, but if you're not quick enough and you're not smart enough to be able to outflank these people in there with the guns, then you're going to be shot, and they're not going to wait, because, you know, I mean, if they didn't want to be killed, why did they go in there wearing body armor, okay? I mean, if they're trying to kill themselves or by being in a gun battle, why do they have the gun? Why do they got the fucking armor? I mean, why even go through that? Why don't they just put the gun to their own head? No, they're trying to take out people. They see you coming at them. Hey, that's a people I'm going to kill. Okay, that's somebody I'm going to kill. They're coming after me. You're just giving them a reason to shoot you there. Okay, whereas if you're laying on the ground, they've got no reason to shoot because you're not doing anything to them. You're not trying to threaten them in any way. Okay, there's kids in some of the schools, they pretend they're dead. They put blood on them from the person next to them, and so they look dead. They didn't get shot because the guy thought they were already dead. That's smart thinking right there on that kid's part. Okay, he didn't try to get up and subdue the friggin' shooter. That's what I'm talking about when it comes to you being unarmed, innocent environment like that, and you're in that situation. And you know something, even if you are armed, okay, there's no guarantee you're going to have the opportunity to use that gun to kill that person. He might see you stand up and try to shoot him, and he'll blow your head off. I mean, it's just a friggin', it's not a game, but it's a situation that has very many outcomes. Okay, and whatever you do in that situation, your odds of survival can either go up or go down, and you don't know which way to go because any path could lead to your being killed. Any path. So it's really up to you what you want to do with this information the FBI is putting out. It really is. I can't speak for for people who are physically, handicapped or some way. They're likely to be shot because they're not going to be able to do all these things, okay, to stop the shooter. And if the shooter has any experience at all with having a gun or having any training at all and what he's going to do, which in a lot of cases they don't. But if they do, they're not going to put themselves in the position to be taken down easily, okay? They're going to keep you ahead of them, in front of them, so they can keep their eyes on you. They're not going to give you the chance to slip around them and try to get them from behind. It's not going to happen, okay? So they leave it up to the bartender to have a gun. And usually the bartender is going to be the first target because he's one most likely, or she's one most likely that's going to have a weapon, okay? A knife, a gun, a bat, something like that. They'll take that person out the minute they walk through the door. So this video here really, it seems like, a big white flag saying to the country, don't depend on us. We can't get there in time. By the time we get there, everybody could be dead, and the guy may have run off, and we won't be able to catch him. Okay, it's not going to solve anything as far as gun crimes go. They will still happen. Just because the public is going to be more defense thoughtful doesn't mean they're going to be able to stop the body count. Okay, it's a piss poor way to try to encourage people to take the matters into their own hands. And on that note, if you're telling the people out there to do what you got to do to survive, then don't ever fucking charge anybody for killing somebody who was in there with a gun. Don't you dare fucking charge anybody who had to take somebody down because they walked into that fucking venue with an AR-15 and was going to kill everybody. That person shouldn't be charged for a crime. He should be given a fucking medal, okay? Because if you're not going to stop this problem, then you leave it up to us to decide who gets to live and die in that situation, okay? Because you pretty much signed it off. You signed off on protecting the public, okay? You're basically saying it's a free-for-all now out there, and it's the Wild West. You're leaving it up to us to defend ourselves, and by Jesus, that means you're going to have open game now, and everywhere you go, everybody's going to be walking around armed with something. Okay, you just gave everybody the reason to go out and buy more guns. So, whatever happens, it's on your fault now because you people wouldn't do what we've been screaming at you to try to do, and that's to get rid of these fucking things, and put some goddamn controls on what goes on with at these gun shows and these stores, and and who gets one and who doesn't. Do something about that. This fucking Second Amendment stance bullshit that the right wing is on is like a fucking religion to them, okay? And because you guys have caved on that part, okay, because you let them turn this into a goddamn religion, now here we are in this dystopian America, that if you told us would have been like this 40 years ago, we would have laughed at you and said, you're a fucking nut. Law enforcement would never allow it to get like that. Well, here we are. Here we are. You know, certain people in Hollywood saw it coming before any of us did because they knew where we were going with this. Okay? You take a look at the movies that were made in the 80s, and whenever they show a future America, it's always like this. It's like this. People killing each other all the fucking time. And the media making it sound like it's just another day in the office. I mean, they don't care. Thoughts and prayers. That's all they give you. Thoughts and prayers. Well, you know they ought to make a gun that shoots out thoughts and prayers every time there's a fucking crime that's done with a gun. Okay? That's what they ought to do. Because that's about as much help as that's going to cause you. You know, if you don't, you can pray all you want, but if you ain't going to go out there and do something on your own to try to back up that prayer, then God's not going to look at you or care about what you prayed. Okay? It's up to you. You're the fucking hand that makes the change happen in this country. It's not some spirit in the sky. Jesus, stop smoking whatever the fuck it is you're smoking. Okay? Everything that happens or doesn't happen in this world is because of us. Okay? It's not preordained. It's not predestined. There's no such thing as a destiny unless it's something you made to happen for yourself. Okay? Destiny is made by the person who lives that life. Whether they end up in the future of what they wanted or not. Your destiny is up to you, okay? But nobody lays down a path of gold in front of us that says, this is where we're going now, okay? Like so many of these Christian nuts do. They think that God's laying this path down before us so we can have the end of days. Like they can't wait for the end of fucking days. They really can't. They're just waiting and waiting and waiting for God to come down and bring it. I mean, this is all these people care about. They don't want to live their life. They want it to end. And this is, to them, this is a good way to make it happen all the much faster, to piss God off all the more so that way he'll come down and punish us all. That's what they want. In their sick minds, that's what they want. Okay? So people, you can't look at this commercial, or whatever the hell they want to call it, public service announcement, any other way than a white flag strung up on a pole by our fucking law enforcement saying, we can't help you anymore. This problem has gotten so big, it's going to take the whole military. We'd have to take all our military just to control this country in order to keep the gun problem down, okay? But we can't solve it anymore. We are outnumbered on the streets everywhere we go, 5,000 to 1, okay? No matter where we go, we are outnumbered. Police, FBI, it's not enough, okay? We have to declare war on our own country to get people back in line. That's where it's coming. The cities are going to demand the National Guard and our own fucking active duty people to start marching the streets in order to maintain law and order because they're outnumbered everywhere. Okay? And you know what happens when it comes down to the military taking care of everything? It's shoot first and ask questions later. They're not going to care if you had a gun or not. If they think their life is in danger, you're going to get shot. You're going to get shot. So what happens? The right wing created the very fucking thing they never wanted to see happen was, you know, the government taking over their lives. They're going to create their own fucking nightmare because they're forcing the government's hand and allowing this shit to go on. They're forcing the government's hand, and they've got no compunction about allowing people to keep getting these guns and you know, bringing them home by the thousands. You know, how much money they spend on it. Christ, their house is a dilapidated junkyard, and yet they're spending all their fucking assets on guns. That makes a lot of sense. That goes to show you just where their priorities are, people. These people are nuts. When they put the gun above their own livelihood, above their own ability to feed themselves or to take care of themselves, you know, in a hospital or something like that, or mental health. No, they got to have the gun instead. The gun means more to them. It even means more to them than the Bible. The Bible doesn't even feed that hunger. They got to have that gun. You know, it's sad that this is where we are, and it's surreal in a way. I mean, we thought 9/11 was surreal. We thought COVID-19 was surreal. Folks, look around you. How did we get here? Think about that. How did we get... This didn't happen overnight. This is a problem that has been growing exponentially for the last 20, 30 years. Okay? We can trace this all the way back to the very first mass killing in this country, which happened in the 1940s, okay? But as you progress forward in the 20th century to today, you're going to see that that problem escalates quite a bit, especially during the latter half of the 20th century, okay? And now here we are. How many people bothered to find out why that happened? You know, what was the underlying cause that made people like this? No, we would blame it on video games. You know, let's blame it on the mental health problem. Not one person, okay, who was ever like a person that wasn't in care, okay, would ever have done these things, okay? If they were taken care of, if a person who had a mental health problem was taken care of, the odds of them doing this never would have happened. So that tells you that we have a problem here of a lot of people not getting the care that they need, okay? And instead of trying to rectify that problem, they want to exacerbate it by defunding the very system that could help them and stop this problem. No. That's what the Republicans think, because they got to have that money for themselves, right? They got to have that for themselves so they can go buy that extra yacht or that fucking car they saw or that other home that was bigger than the one they got now. They have to have that money for themselves, people. And that's not enough, because then they don't want to pay their taxes either. So they go hire a team of lawyers so they can get around the tax laws, okay? That's what you got here. I could go on and on about this all night, you know. Okay, but I think everything that I'm saying, I'm sure everybody out there has already thought the same damn thing. Okay, I'm sure of it. Because when the problem is the same, and the reason that we have the problem is the same, then the thought that goes behind how to fix that problem is the same. And if you don't think that, then you're not paying close enough attention. But I'm sure if we've got 87% of Americans out there who are thinking that we need to do something about this problem, okay, that's including some Republicans, okay, then I know that most of you out there are already on the same page with me here on this. And screaming to our politicians needs to be something that all of us gets behind and does, okay? We have to make it very loud. In fact, I wouldn't mind going to the damn headquarters of the NRA, for that matter, or the gun manufacturer's place, and start screaming our heads off over there, okay? Because I don't think they get this enough. Politicians get it, but I don't think these people on that side get it enough, okay? They deserve to be harassed by the public and listen to what we got to say, you know? Okay, so that's it for today, and I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. So please subscribe and comment to my posts here, and be careful of COVID-19 still out there. I know they're lifting emergency status for a lot of the states and everything, so that's a good thing, but just be cautious. Be careful about where you go, and make sure you check your surroundings wherever you go. Make sure that people are acting, you know, calmly, and they're not agitated, or or a fight break out. If keep your kids close. It's hard for me to tell the people this. Christ Almighty, but it's a fact of life now, and until it changes, I mean, we have to think this way. And treat each other nice, even through all this misery and this violence. Kindness still has a play in all of this, to be able to maybe even change people's minds about what they might want to do or something, or not do. Just try. I mean, we all have to do something. I mean, we can't just let violence take over without a fight. We have to be able to, push back with kindness and sensitivity, and we might have to talk to each other like brothers and sisters about things. If somebody doesn't have or isn't feeling right or something, we're gonna have to take more of an action to do something to help that person, rather than just ignore it and hope that the problem goes away, because it doesn't go away. It just spreads out and costs people their lives. So let's try and change that. I'll talk to you guys later, so take care.